So, ladies, the second move in Florida is finally complete. And I know we did the whole series of me decluttering in Wisconsin and us moving down here and all of that decluttering. But let me tell you something. There was still decluttering to be done. It was amazing. Like, I was surprised. It was a year, and I really was surprised now it was nothing like Wisconsin. There wasn't like multiple um months of trips to donations and Facebook Marketplace and all of that. But I was totally surprised and still how much there was still decluttering.
Now, let me ask you a question because there was your stuff and you moved into Pete's mom's home, right? So you guys took
Yes,
over that place. So
yes.
would you say that the majority of the decluttering was her possessions or oh, it was still yours, eh?
Well,
Isn't that frightening?
let's just go maybe. So most of her personal possessions were already gone
Mm,
by time when we moved in. Um, so what was left was furniture and dishes and pots and
right.
pans
Okay.
and things like that. So let's just say I'm going to say it was 60-40, 40 being her stuff of that other stuff. So there was furniture that if we did both really didn't like really love it
Yeah.
and we didn't want it, well, we felt it was too cluttering. So it was even more of a refined of a decluttering aspect of it. So we decluttered it. Now, we actually moved into a place that's almost the exact same footprint, except it has been updated. So before the kitchen was very closed off, was a smaller, because of the walls, it was a smaller. This one here, everything is all open. So I have more, I wouldn't say more. I have efficient storage. I don't
Mhm.
have like always more. Like some of my cabinets aren't deep enough, but for the first time, yeah, I have all my dishes are like in a drawer. I have the pan drawer. Like I never had any of that. So it was more of a reorganization on that aspect of it. And that was refreshing because then I kept things that I know I cook with and I know we used in the kitchen. And then we organized things that we would use on special occasions. And then she was an extremely social, old time, through dinner parties all the
Mm.
time. So there was all of this other fine items that really did not fit into our lifestyles. Those were like those were released. Those were let go. You know, we both did our clothing, that same aspect of everything, because it's like, I don't want to carry this stuff again. So it was still, there's still, like I now have cabinets in the kitchen that are empty, which I never have had before. You know, there are sections of the cabinets that are just completely empty. But we have everything pretty organized, and we had everything pretty organized within the first couple weeks.
So when you said that there still was 60% of the stuff that you went through again, what was the majority? Clothing?
Um,
And do you
we'd be
think, so I have two questions, what the majority was and why this time it was different where you went and said, you know what, that can go.
because I hadn't looked at it in the year that I had it
Okay.
in the
Okay.
Florida house. So there was some of that stuff um in there. So there was clothing, there was old paperwork I didn't really need anymore. There were just things that I thought I would be using and I didn't use. So if I had it, now some boxes weren't open, like I have a tub of all my kids' pictures and stuff. That came and it went back under the bed. Like that was not an option. But there were other things that I didn't even ever opened or really looked at, or I really had to take off this thing of dust on it. Then I released it. I think it goes back to those episodes that we talked about. Is it the physical item or is it the memory?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's what I kept going back to the episodes that we were doing when we were all talking about this. I went back to that prospect of it. Was it what was it about now? I can't reach down and get it, but I still have my grandmother's vase. That did come.
Yeah.
That
Awesome.
came. That came with me. And I do still have that. In fact, I'm looking at it right down there. That did come. Like I was like, nope, nope, that one's still coming with me. Like that was my little special thing that I brought right along with me.
So did
But
it surprise you how much you like, it's a takeaway after a year you've moved, go back to your through your stuff and see, because had you not moved again, you wouldn't have got rid of
mhm,
that stuff,
I wouldn't
right?
have gotten rid of it. Exactly.
But did
Exactly.
it surprise you how much you got? Like, were you like, oh, I thought
Um,
I did a really good job of exactly that memory and physical and
I thought I did, but then I gave myself some grace and thought, you know what, that was a really big move. That was a really big move. There was a lot going on. So I didn't even like think about it because I do think it goes off by each what season were you in, you know,
Yeah.
like what was going on. And so I had no problem with it. Had no problem with the letting go of it and just um yeah, just moving on. And even like it's funny now, it's I'm catching myself and it's part of I don't want to say it's a goal. It's just maybe a different thought process. Like, oh, I really think I want that for the house. Well, why? What do you need? Why do you want it? Is it just phew, the new shiny thing you saw? Or
Mm.
phew, do you really need it? Well, then, like, so I'm trying to be more, not even intention, maybe more conscious of where my that thought process is coming from. So it's not something that I just build up stuff with.
So the stuff that you ended up getting rid of again this time round, was this stuff that was still in boxes from the original move?
I would say they were unboxed, but where I put them, I never used them again.
Okay. Okay.
So it was more of that style, you
Ah,
know.
okay. Interesting.
So because we really didn't have room for boxes
Yeah.
to be there, so um it was more we unboxed it and put
Mm.
things away, and then it
Mhm.
didn't. And and Pete's mom had excellent taste. She had some beautiful potteries and beautiful things. And we would just like look at some of this stuff and I'm like, I really do want that one. Like, I really do like that one. And she would be like, I don't care about that one. And I'm like, yeah, I don't like that. Those were, that would be things that in that 40% place, aspect of it, because all her personal items were already gone. But it was mostly, yeah, you know,
Were you
and it was
surprised?
no, actually I
No way.
wasn't.
Okay, that's interesting.
No,
That's
no,
really
I
interesting.
think I was ready for like another cleanse.
Wow.
I think I was ready for another cleanse, you know.
That's amazing. I mean, having been through that huge move, because that was big and that process, I
Yep.
remember took,
Uh-huh.
that was like
Months,
months. Yeah,
months, yeah.
months. It was like,
months.
oh my God. I felt for you so much during that process. I was like, oh my God, thank God it's not me. Poor Michelle. But yeah, I'm just surprised that there is still that much left over that, on a second move, again, so short on the heels of the first one that there was that much to get rid of.
I think it'll be interesting. I know we have a future episode coming up with a repeat guest of Tidy Dad. It'll be interesting to
Mm,
have a conversation with him on that because that's what he's worked so hard to do in his,
yes.
reseasons. But then I think it's an exercise to do literally on a yearly basis.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not as overwhelming as a move, but is this something that you take, depending on how big your home is, that you take every quarter or something, dividing the house into certain areas and just really have a heart to heart with like, why am I having it? I mean, we always talk about, I don't know if you guys have ever heard this, the first of the year, take all your hangers and turn them so you hook them like this way on.
Mm-hmm.
So then when you take an item, you take it off that way and then you put it on the normal way. And after a quarter or after half the year, you look to see what you haven't used and those maybe you don't need that clothing any longer. It's something similar in that aspect. But um but yeah, it's like I think I feel a little bit more like I don't feel like I just have stuff now. I think there's some self-discovery there. That
Yeah.
why do you the is it the I don't want to know this, how to say this. Is it that having that feeling of um not scarcity, but I don't want like I grew up a little bit with that mentality, don't want to be seen in the same outfit twice. And I know we've
Mm.
had some conversations on that and different things like that. And now it's more like, no, I just want to have a comfortable uniform. And yes, if I want to go buy something nice for a special occasion, but yes, but not the newest trends and all of this stuff. And that was me beforehand. And that had a lot to do with my self-worth and my self-image. So now it's more like I care more about deeper meaning things than the superficial stuff.
I just see how this all ties in when we talk about everything we do is ongoing. Like we're
Yes,
all like it's maybe you do a yearly review and you reflect on what you have and your possessions and whether they're serving you anymore and all that stuff. It's just like a nice little
I know.
tie-in that's I would have never thought of, right? Because like Tracy said, that move, we all went through it in spirit with you and just went, wow, that's like a lot to do. And yet you're doing it again. And so it'd be interesting next year,
Yeah.
go through your own.
So I'll give you a little comparison. So in 2016, my mom passed. Okay. And when she passed, oh my God, like I'm going through her desk. I mean, it was my parents' home, my mom and my stepdad. And my stepdad was still alive. But going through like her desk, I knew what she had on her desk. Okay. I mean, I found things. So she passed in 2016. I found check registers from 1995. Like, it was like mind boggling. Two, kid's mom was the complete opposite. She would go through her house and constantly be tossing things. So when it came time, when she moved into the home and things progressed as it did, he had a filing cabinet. That was it. And I'm like, but in hindsight, she also threw away things she wasn't supposed to. Wow. And Tracy G, I know you probably went through some of this with your family member, you just moved.
She did
Like
that too.
you
She
talk,
threw away stuff that she shouldn't. It's like, you
right,
have
but
this, but you threw away these documents? Okay.
right. But you went through the same aspect of what do you keep, what do you don't keep, what did she want? No, and the whole thing. I think it's just very, one, I think it's very personal
Mhm.
because what I think is minimal, what you think is minimal, what Tracy thinks is minimal are three totally different things. Second, I think it's a way of challenging ourselves onto why do we want to keep a piece of that. I'm keeping my grandmother's vase. What happens to it at the end of my life? I'm okay with that. But when I look down at it, the flood of memories that comes over me, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. You know?
Yeah.
There is a painting I have that I put into the guest room. Okay. But I distributed like these old missalettes, actually that were from Canada when my great grandmother um, immigrated from France over to into Canada that came down. I actually distributed them out to other people that I knew would have better usage of them, than me holding on to these 6 missalettes because they were meaningful, but like there was like for what? I kept one and gave them to 6 other people that were extremely important to me because my great grandmother had a knack of finding 4-leaf clovers. So each missalette had a 4-leaf clover in it.
Oh, wow.
So I had a conversation with that person and gave them why I passed it on with the understanding if they didn't want it, they had to tell me. There was no harm. I wasn't trying to pawn my crap off on them. And it
Right.
wasn't crap. It was something that was. So, but yeah,
Hmm. It's so interesting. These conversations make me so uncomfortable. So uncomfortable.
do you know what? I was just going to ask you about all your teacups.
Yeah, my teacups. Oh God, my teacups. Well, there's a couple that got broken, so like that got rid of those pretty quickly. Um, it's interesting. I had a list in my when I was doing my year-end review. I pulled out, the stuff that I had thought that I had wanted to accomplish 2024. And one of the things was I had a house and project list. And it was interesting. There was probably about 7 or 8 items on there that were decluttering activities. And there was only one of them that actually got done. And it was interesting because the one that got done was the one after we had an episode about decluttering or something. And I thought, I got to go do something because this is ridiculous. Um, so yes, I think I have the sense that, oh, this is so overwhelming. I'll do this later. And of course the later never comes. And
Never comes.
I know better. Like it's like, come on. It's yeah,
And that's
I
what,
just have to do it.
well, it's not even just have to do it. There is, and I've tried this, and I know Tracy G, you even talked a little bit about time management. It's too overwhelming to walk into a room that needs complete, like, or even a file cabinet, or even teacups, or even it's just overwhelming.
Yeah.
So you set a timer for 5, 10, 15 minutes, and no more than that. And that's all you do. You take one drawer, you take one section of a drawer, you take one thing, and there is nothing. We always get into our mindset, well, I have to do it by, or, well, if I'm going to declutter, I have to do the whole thing. There's nothing, there's no book, there's no written rule, there's no anything that says you have to do it. The only thing that helps us through it is small, consistent steps.
Yeah.
5 minutes, 15 minutes, that's it. You hear people to say, keep your kitchen organized. Set a timer for 10 minutes. just put stuff away. That's
I
Mhm.
just think it builds
It-
on it too, because if you do, say you do your junk drawer, and then your junk drawer looks amazing, it never stays like that. But it kind of goes, then yeah, man, maybe I'll do that Tupperware drawer. Maybe I'll get that organized because it's like exercise or eating healthy. It starts to
yep,
build, and you go, no, I like it like this.
yes,
This helps me. This helps me in my day to day. So why wouldn't I?
Mhm. Yeah.
right.
And,
That's what.
yeah,
Go ahead.
that's what I've done for this year is I've broken it down. I instead of like declutter this room, it's like
Yep.
okay, I'm going to take aspects of this room and define what it is that needs to be decluttered, and then I can work on that, which makes it the task a way more manageable, like you said, and you get the dopamine hit of being able to check that off and go, woohoo, did that
Yeah.
one. So, that feels pretty good. So yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And it's funny because this kitchen is much more organized. So now my Tupperware drawer is not overflowing through three different things. Like it is in one drawer. And if
That's
nothing fits
helpful.
in there, then I have a place elsewhere. You know what I mean? Like it's just really weird for it. For Pete, he keeps walking around like, where'd you put this? What did you do here? And I yell things out to him and tell him, but it's like it's easier. And then what is it? Declutter your space, declutter your mind,
Mhm.
and I'm not saying that but I do find that it helps. I do find that helps. So I found this move and this declutter not as overwhelming, not as daunting. And I found it to be something like, you need to start rethinking things.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask the viewers, what do you think about decluttering? I know we've had past conversations on this, but do you still become overwhelmed by it? Do you take things one step at a time? Do you just like ignore it altogether and get to it another time? Put it down in the comments. We would love to hear about it. And if you think this episode is something somebody else has to share, um, please make sure you share it. If you like the comment, hit like and make sure you hit notifications so you know when our next episode is out. Until next time.
Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you as a regular member of our community.